Good morning, everyone. Hi, how are you? Mic check real quick. Sorry, I was rushing to get here for various personal reasons, but it's great to be here. It's always great to be here at Cavell. Meet a lot of familiar faces, also some new ones as well. So I'm Timur. I work on a large team that supports our team's phone initiatives, our operators, the go-to-markets for M365. I'll introduce a couple of my colleagues towards the end as well. Patrick kind of teed up my first slide, which was really great. And I actually really put this slide in this morning in an Uber. But you know, I know that we understand and we talk about telephony a lot, especially I know this audience is very telephony focused. I know the theme of the conference is sort of telephony enablement. But I did title my presentation The Future of Work, so I want to stay true to that. I do hope to bring it back home to you and the relevance to this audience towards the end of it. I do tend to talk a little bit fast. I don't have a lot of time, but I do have a lot of content to get through. But I'll be sticking around all day to hopefully chat with all of you throughout this day. I want to talk about AI for a quick second. We've just come off of the heels of our largest customer conference of the year, Microsoft Ignite. If you weren't able to capture some of the capabilities and things that we talked about at Ignite, please do so. We have a lot of really interesting things to share with you there. But one of the things that resonated with me was we have a lot of really great customer stories on how our customers are adopting AI, are adopting things like Copilot, and leveraging those use cases. There's a link there called Customer AI Stories or Microsoft AI Stories. Definitely go take a look and see how some of our key customers are leveraging AI and what they're doing with it. There's some really great stories there. So I'm not going to be able to cover all of Ignite. We had 300 plus product updates. We talked a lot about AI. We talked a lot about Copilot. We talked a lot about the capabilities that we have within the platform. I'll share some of my favorites with you today, though, just so that it's apparent where we're going with this. But we did talk about the time. You know, we're investing a lot from a data center infrastructure perspective. We also talked about quality. As we get to train these large language models, they get better and better. And as we think about how it's going to expand with all of this data that we have, that's a really key thing for us to keep in mind as well. I also want to talk a little bit about the evolution. We started talking about Copilot, and it was kind of like more of an assistant, right? We talk about task-based things. We ask it something, and it responds with something, and that's pretty great. We're moving to this world where Copilot and all the AI capabilities that we're going to be building are going to be much more proactive in terms of helping us figure out how we're going to get through our day, how we're going to get through our projects, and so on. So that's going to be sort of where you see the evolution of Copilot going as well. I want to talk a little bit about what we think is going to be sort of the future when we talk about the future of work. And we already talked about Copilot. In case you are brand new to this industry or have been living under a rock for the last couple of years, you know, Copilot is sort of our AI assistant, which helps us through across all of the M365 capabilities. It's really deeply rooted in Graph, and Graph is our signal for all of the work that you do. The emails that you send, the meetings that you attend, the documents that you work on, the libraries that you have, all of that is in Graph, and Copilot is rooted in that Graph. So it has all this really great information on which to base sort of itself on. So that's really powerful. But we also want to make sure that you understand that we are building a platform for this AI capability, a platform for you to be able to extend Copilot into other line of business applications and create all of the other capabilities that are richer and enhance the Microsoft Graph and the Microsoft 365 service into some of the other line of business applications or targeted niche workflows that you may have or your customers may have. And that's a really important story to tell. And I'll tell that in a couple of slides as well. So when we think about what we're doing, we're building an agentic world. And this is really important. You're going to hear every Microsoft person that you ever talk to talk about Copilot agents or agents of AI in general. I want to sort of introduce this concept to you as super important, and I'll show you a few examples of what this means. But before that, I'm going to play a quick video.
New agents in Microsoft 365 are transforming how humans and AI collaborate. Meet agents in SharePoint, which unlock high-value insights that are connected to your organization's documents. Created with just a few clicks, these agents enhance knowledge sharing. They can be customized with additional data sources in Copilot Studio and can be shared anywhere like a Teams chat. Next is the Facilitator Agent, joining meetings to manage tasks like the agenda, real-time notes, and action items, allowing the team to stay focused on the discussion. And the Facilitator Agent can also streamline communication in chats by providing real-time summaries and responding to questions so the team can focus on what matters. With the new Interpreter Agent, language barriers are a thing of the past, enabling real-time speech interpretation so everyone can speak and listen in different languages.
Thoughts from marketing about the upcoming campaign. If we get a game plan, we can aim that. 내놓는 것을 목표로 할 수 있을 겁니다.
And the Project Manager Agent creates project plans, assigns.
I like how it casually goes over some of these agents, but I will talk about a couple of those are in the video. But the key thing I want you to realize is that Copilot is the UI for all of AI. And I actually was having a discussion with somebody at Ignite a couple of weeks ago, and I have a sensationalist idea that I'm going to position here. If it comes true, you guys can come and pat me on the back maybe 5 years later. But I have a feeling that we are kind of departing from the world of apps. So the average person has 67 apps on their mobile phone. And I feel like we're coming to this place where interacting with those apps is a little bit laborious. You may even have multiple redundant apps for the same thing. And so this is getting to be a little bit of a problem. And so I imagine a future where all of the services that we use, the apps that we use in our mobile phone, I'm not going to take any names, but ride-hailing apps or money transfer apps or whatever we have, could be represented by agents in the background, because the service is pretty valuable. But the interface to that service is kind of getting archaic. And so we imagine a world where we interface with all of these agents through AI. So all of these apps that are on my phone, I don't really need them. I need an AI agent or an AI UI, like Copilot, for example, to be able to do all of those things for me. Like I could tell the AI agent, hey, I need a cab to get to Cavell Enable. Or I would like to send Matt a few, $20 for the pizza that we shared. Or any other things in our personal lives, but also in our work lives. Scheduling meetings, figuring out where to sit, which place to go to, etc. So these are really some capabilities that we think, but when you think about the agentic world that we're entering now and how it will change in the future, it's super important for us to realize what the UI will look like. And we believe that Copilot will be the UI, at least for our work lives. And that's super important for us to realize. You saw a couple of those agents, and I talked about the future, right? So the Facilitator Agent is super cool. It's an agent that we have that brings into your Teams meetings, that you can have a Copilot facilitator. It keeps you on track from a time perspective. It keeps talking about the agenda. It talks about action items. It summarizes things for you. It does a whole lot of things. And this is an agent that's going to be available for you in every meeting to be able to enhance your meeting experience. All of the things that kind of you do in the meeting from a task perspective are going to be handled by this facilitator agent. It's super important to think about where this is going in terms of managing time, managing productivity, and keeping meetings more productive. I don't like to be in a lot of meetings, and this is going to sort of really help try to figure out what that looks like. The other one, it's so casual how that video went over it, but this is a game changer, especially for somebody like me. I work globally across the entire world, and the interpreter agent is so amazing. Like I deal with a lot of markets, especially in Asia, where language barriers can be a little bit more difficult, like Japan and Korea and so on. And for me to be able to set my language to English, and I'm speaking English, and the other person in real time is listening to Korean, or they're speaking Korean or Japanese, and I'm listening to English, that's the future. I mean, I cannot stress how cool this is. This is like something we watched when we were children in Star Trek. This is really, really cool. Coming up next calendar year very, very soon. So this is really interesting as well. Again, in Ignite, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things that we announced in Teams. There's a link up there that you can go to, and you can take a look at all of the things that we announced in Teams. This is just a few of my favorites. There's a lot more as well. Again, I won't have time to cover all of it. I see you guys taking pictures. I think you guys will get slides from this, and all of these slides will be there as well. I want to share with you a few of my favorites. The first one, again, super, super interesting, right? So when we share a screen in a meeting, right, that's great. We can see that in content live. We can maybe see it in the recording. But we've noticed that we can't really figure out what was happening with the content that was shared. And now Copilot can analyze the screen share and reason over it and tell you what happened. So if a colleague was sharing a screen, a Word document, or whatever they were sharing on screen, when you ask Copilot, hey, what happened in this meeting? It now has one more signal, the screen share, to be able to reason over. That's super cool for it to be able to see what was being shared and then tell you, hey, by the way, Matt was showing some numbers around the Excel sheet. Sorry, I keep picking on you, Matt. Around the Excel sheet and so on. And that's really, really interesting. Sensitive content. Let's say that Matt, again, shared something that he shouldn't have shared. Maybe it was credit card numbers or social security numbers or customer confidential information. It will prompt, using AI, it will prompt Matt to say, hey, by the way, buddy, you're not supposed to be sharing this information because there's people outside your organization that are in this meeting. And then be able to apply policy to block some of those things. That's super cool as well. Again, leveraging the power of AI. We talked about the interpreter agent. That's really cool. But we also now support transcription, live translation and transcription. So you know how Copilot summarizes the meeting for you and creates this really great transcript with all the actions and so on. Now that can be done in 50+ languages. It's super, super amazing. So if you're sort of working with a global team and you've got multiple languages in the meeting, that transcript can also be transcribed live as well. Some of the things that are also important, and again, coming back to the theme of enable, right? We want to make sure that we bring AI not only for use cases that are for end customers, but also for partners like yourselves to support our M365 environment. So we're introducing Copilot in Teams Admin Center. So a lot of the times when you want to do a small change in Teams Admin Center, it's a few clicks here, a few clicks there. If you know what you're doing, otherwise you read some documentation, you go ahead and get that done. Copilot is now going to be able to do those things. So you can tell Copilot in Teams Admin Center, hey, I want to provision a call queue with this many users, with this particular ringing pattern, et cetera. Or I want to deprovision phone numbers from this particular user, he left the company. And Copilot's going to be able to do some of those key administrative tasks for you as well. So Copilot in Teams Admin Center is coming soon, and it's going to go and improve a bunch of different things. And then we're also going to be able to do administrative units. This is a new thing that we've announced where you can sort of designate or delegate administration of the team's telephony environment to various different people within organizations, within departments. You're going to have a lot more granular control with these admin units for Teams manageability. So before it used to be that you can assign Teams admins that can manage the whole thing, but now you've got a little bit more granularity there. Just some of the things that I thought might be useful for you to figure out. And then we also have some more insights and dashboards in terms of your telephony environment and some best practices in terms of deployment from a call quality perspective and from a network perspective and so on. So just a bunch of things. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to go through all of the things that we announced, but these are some of the things that might be useful for you. Please go take a look. I get asked a lot, Timur, why do you come on our stage and you talk about AI when you know people want to talk about telephony? And the most important thing to keep in mind is that you should really, really care about Copilot. And the reason you should care about Copilot is because Copilot is going to be this canvas of work. And telephony is an extremely important signal that feeds into the graph, that feeds into Copilot to be able to complete this picture. So if I ever ask, which I ask a lot to Copilot, is, hey, what's going on with Patrick? And Copilot will tell me, hey, Patrick sent you this email that you haven't responded to. You've got a meeting with him next week. You've been working on this particular document together. And it gives me this whole idea. But if you don't include telephony, then the phone call that I had with Patrick yesterday telling him, hey, Patrick, I'm going to be really, really cutting it short coming in tomorrow morning is not going to be in those insights. And so you have to include phone into AI, into Copilot. And so you can create a full picture so that when Patrick asks Copilot, hey, what's happened with Timur? It'll tell him, hey, Timur's running a little bit late, and it's going to be touch and go tomorrow morning. And so that's really why every telephony enablement person, everybody in this room should care about how Copilot exists. And also, Copilot is going to pull in a lot of Teams phone. It's going to pull in a lot of Teams phone. And the reason is because when you think about AI and the power of AI and what you can do with it and applying that to the telephony workload, it's super powerful. Whether you're thinking about in-call questions, like if you're having a phone call conversation, if you're thinking about transferring calls to somebody else in context, so that when you transfer it to somebody, they can catch up on the call immediately. Many, many other AI things, the live translation thing that I showed you earlier, and the interpreter agent, those are going to be super, super important as they expand to all of our capabilities, including Teams Phone. And that's why I think everybody in this room should care a lot about Copilot. Copilot also extends this capability for you to be able to drive deeper business relationships with all of your customers. We see it as a multiplier for all of the business that you do today with your customers, whether it's telephony, whether it's meetings. You can actually think about how AI is now enhancing all of those workloads and talk to your customers about that. That's all I have. I will say a couple more things. Like I said, I love to be here. We want to hear from all of you. I'm going to ask Matt and Philippe to stand up for a quick second. I have a couple of colleagues from Microsoft who are also here. They want to hear from you too. And so they've taken time out to come here and listen to all of you speak as well. So please come talk to us. Tell us what your thoughts are, what your ideas are, what your challenges are. We want to help you do all of those things. I will also say that Matt didn't allow me to play a song last time. I'm going to try and do this again. I'm going to try and do this again. Do you think we have audio?
In the heart of the city, where telcos meet in stride, unified communication with AI by our side. Microsoft brings the magic, partnership that shines. Solutions here are endless, transforming all.
You get the idea. AI is fun as well. Thank you very much. Take care.